Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vaga Muradian here in Doha, Qatar, where we're covering the Doha International Maritime Defense Exhibition and Conference, DIMDEX 2018, and our coverage here is sponsored by DIMDEX 2018. And we're here with David Heley, a former spokesman for the Royal Navy, who now works for Babcock. You're the head of business development for the Duqm Naval Dockyard, which is a collaborative venture between the Omanis and Babcock. Tell us a little bit about this, because there's an insatiable demand for dry dock services in the region, and the U.S. Navy has come out to become a pretty key customer for you guys.
It has, Vago. The background is that Babcock International is a UK company, a large company, which has dealt for a long time in warship repair and maintenance, and it runs two dockyards in the UK, Rosyth and Devonport. And about 2 or 3 years ago, the Oman Dry Dock Company, which is an Omani-owned company, which owns the infrastructure at Duqm, was looking to broaden their appeal in terms of what they did commercially into the naval sector. And they asked for and approached Babcock International to see if we would form a joint venture with them to take forward warship repair, overhaul and maintenance at Duqm. And since June last year, when we were incorporated as an Omani company, we've been operating as an adjunct to Oman Dry Dock Company under the name the Duqm Naval Dockyard. We've done 5 repairs on US Navy ships since then, 3 oilers, 1 dry cargo ship and 1 Arleigh Burke destroyer. And we're hoping for more work this year.
And hopefully people in the Pentagon are paying attention to it. So talk us about a little bit about the unique features and what you guys bring to it, because in a sense you could say you're a little bit out of the area of operations because you're not in the Gulf, and folks tend to look at it. But you and I were talking, and that actually ends up becoming an advantage for you.
Its principal appeal, its unique selling point, Duqm, is that it's outside the Gulf of Arabia. And for many navies now, operating outside the Gulf is a preferential means of operating. It gives them more flexibility, it gives them more freedom for maneuver, and having a repair yard outside the Gulf means that if they're operating in the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea or anywhere else, they don't need to send a ship through the Straits of Hormuz into a port in the Gulf if they want it repaired and maintained, or just topped up logistically. So Duqm offers both logistics, supply, ammunition, fuel, but also a dockyard for repair and dry docking if necessary.
And talk to us a little bit about the facilities you guys have and the kinds of ships you can accommodate, because you guys, the plan is also to invest and to grow and improve the capabilities of the yard. Talk to us on both of those things. What do you have now, and sort of what's in the 5-year plan about where you guys expect to be?
Okay, right now that the heart of the Duqm Naval Dockyard is 2 graving docks. They're both 410 metres long. They can take a tanker up to 600,000 tonnes, a commercial tanker. They will dry dock a UK aircraft carrier, the modern Queen Elizabeth carriers. They won't yet dry dock and won't dry dock a US Navy aircraft carrier. They're too big, but they can operate in the port area and have indeed been into the port area to restock and to replenish. But our main customer is US Military Sealift Command and the US Navy, whose cruisers, destroyers and oilers can all dry dock at Duqm if necessary. But to date, what we've done with them is to put them alongside for mid-term availability packages, voyage repair packages over the last 6 or 7 months, and that's gone really well. That's where we are at the moment. I think in terms of capacity, our short to medium term business plan is to grow the capacity of the yard, and we would certainly be looking at the acquisition at some stage in the near future of a floating dock to add that flexibility that we need to repair warships alongside our requirement to repair commercial ships as well.
And where would you be, it was interesting because NASCO, National Steel and Shipbuilding Company out in San Diego, bought a 50,000 ton floating dock from the Chinese. Is that something you guys would entertain, to go to China, for example, to get a capability like that, or are you guys going to look elsewhere for it? Or is that, and what size class of a floating dock are you looking for?
Well, we haven't actually gone to anyone specific yet, so I can't tell you where we're actually focusing in terms of the search. What we're doing is a scoping study at the moment as to what we require and what we need and where we're going to put it. But certainly in terms of capacity, you're looking at 50,000 tonnes plus, given that a Kaiser-class tanker weighs in at around that or just under that. So that's the sort of size that we're looking at. But I would add that we're at the early stage of scoping the requirement, but it's going to have to be fairly big if we're to really properly improve the capacity at the yard.
And you mentioned the Queen Elizabeth class. It's amazing to see this ship going through its sea trials and heading steadily toward acceptance. Great picture operating alongside the George H.W. Bush, which was, anybody who's fond of who's expected to see this capability is seeing it. A lot of investment has been going on in Bahrain in order to accommodate ships of this class. Talk to us a little bit about sort of the integrated way that the Royal Navy is looking at supporting these ships around the world, because there are also ports in Asia, for example. There is a little bit of talk about whether or not that Singapore ends up managing to host one of these ships on a more, as it goes about. It's because these are going to be global cops on the beat once more. In having a sort of a big deck Royal Navy aircraft carrier capability. Talk to us about sort of the integrated plan and how industry is playing into this integrated Royal Navy plan of worldwide support for these two ships, which are 72,000-ton ships, are very, very serious big league aircraft carriers.
I think what I should have mentioned earlier is that Duqm Port is only part of the construct at Duqm, and that from the UK perspective, and probably the Americans as well, they're looking at significant logistics footprint at Duqm for military exercises and training. Indeed, the UK have already signed off on an MOU with the Sultanate of Oman to lease land at Duqm to store and warehouse forward-based kit. They're going to be proving that and testing that in an exercise later this year, a bilateral exercise with the Omanis and the UK. The US might be seeking to do something similar. I don't know, but that's the impression I get. But certainly from a UK perspective, they are looking at carrier-based task group operations in and from the Indian Ocean, and Duqm represents the ideal repair yard and logistics hub for the Queen Elizabeth class carrier task groups, and we would expect to see that being put to the test with the carrier itself, hopefully within the next 3 to 4 years. And I think the UK Navy's commitment to Duqm is pretty solid. They see all the advantages of Duqm, its location, its security, its safety, the deep water port, the extensive dockyard, and the fact that you can egress from Duqm to anywhere you want to across the global energy interstate, which is the Indian Ocean.
Sir, thanks very, very much, and look forward to visiting you guys there at Duqm, and also especially at a time when Queen Elizabeth is there, because you get a twofer then.
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm sure the Royal Navy would be delighted to have you, Babcock. We certainly would, okay.
Sir, thanks very much again. Really appreciate it. Thanks.